How does a Scrum Master address issues of burnout or stress amongst their team? Well, this is a really tricky one because stress and burnout are personal things and not everybody wants to share with you as a Scrum Master, and we need to respect that, we need to honor that. At the same time, it's pervasive, it's everywhere. We see so many people in our teams who are stressed out, who are burning out or have burnt out and yet still turn up to work. They're no longer fit to be there, but they're paid to be there and they need the money, so they tip up. And that's not a healthy place to be. So as Scrum Masters, we are always looking out for how to help the team be better, how to improve the environment that they're inside of, how to help them as a team be better at what they do. Stress is a part of this. Okay? Stress at the end of the day is your response to the pressure you're put under. And we all have different tolerances and differing responses to that pressure. So some people thrive in a high pressure environment. They really up their game. They move into performance more naturally. Okay? To a point, there's going to be a breaking point at which the stress becomes too great and the pressure becomes too great and it's then into stress and their performance is going to be degraded. But some people really do want pressure on them. Some people don't like it at all. And you're likely to have a mix of those people in your team. So one of the first things that I do when facing into this is have that conversation, because we normally know, most people are aware, do they operate well under pressure or do they fold quickly? It's not a good or a bad thing, that's just their personality, that's who they are, and we need to, as a team, manage that. So number one, have that conversation. It's hopefully quite a straightforward one. You know, people identify, actually, I thrive under pressure. And some people say, look, I don't handle pressure very well at all. I don't like it. I fall to pieces. I struggle to make decisions. It's like, okay, well, we know. And at least in knowing, when pressure comes on, we can start thinking about, well, how do we move forward? We know that John doesn't handle pressure that well, okay? And we're moving into a high pressure time. You know, maybe your team has this seasonal cycles where they just know that this time of year is gonna be tough. Okay, well, how do we protect John? How do we keep him working to the best of his ability without being confounded by the pressures that are coming on, becoming too stressed to operate? Okay? And I'm not saying we shift all the work to somebody else. How do we as a team manage it? It can be that some people say, actually, I really like doing that. It can be that we create space for me to talk. Whatever works for me to manage inside that environment becomes vital. So one of the best ways to do it is acknowledge pressure is a thing. We have a response to it, and we each have differing responses to it. And working out what's best as a team. And it's going to be a combination of things unique to those individuals. Okay? I found that invariably quite a straightforward conversation if you're not in a high pressure time. Okay? However, you're likely going to be in a high pressure time when this comes up. And that is the wrong time for this conversation. Unfortunately, it's too late. You're going to have to deal with it and work with people very closely, watching them, talking to them. Okay? You've got to find that balance of interaction with them, okay, while giving them the space to do their job, to create that product. Okay? You don't want to be interfering all the time, but at the same time, if you just stand back completely, there's a very real risk that that pressure is going to become stress. And once we move into stress, well, this is a bad place to be, because as people get stressed, their ability to think gets worse. Their ability to perform, therefore, in our world is going to reduce, because if you can't think as well, you can't do your job as well. And the team is going to slow down. Okay? So we're watching for that. We've got to walk this very fine line of conversation. Okay? Personally, the daily Scrum is a great place for me to just be thinking, just be listening out for who's talking about what, how are they turning up? You know, very quickly, sense checking with the team. Are you feeling all right? Is there anything I can do? What's going on in general? As well as throughout the weeks, just pinging people. If you're remote, great. Send them a message. If you've got 5 minutes for a chat. Nothing serious, just wanted to check in, see if there's anything that I can be doing to help you in this busy time. What would be helpful for you? Now, they're not always going to take that, and that's okay. Some of them will, and that's good. Okay? But what we'd really try to do is keep our finger on that pulse. We know we're in a high pressure period. We know that some people are going to experience more stress than others because of that period. How do we support those who are maybe struggling? Okay? And how do we get the others who thrive in that pressured environment to help those who are struggling? How do we rebalance the team around the work today based on their skills and their personalities and their experiences? Okay? And that way, hopefully, we can minimize the impact of stress. And because from stress, we lead to burnout. And that is where we want to stay away from. I hope you haven't experienced burnout. I have, unfortunately. It took a long time to get there. It took even longer to recover from it. This day in, day out, high stress environment where burnout is a great way of thinking about it. You stop being able to think, you stop being able to act, you barely function if it's severe enough. Okay? And it takes a very, very long time to dig yourself out of that personally. And in that time, you're not going to be productive to the team. That person is not going to be adding. They're in fact likely going to be taking away from the team. So we want to avoid that at all costs. When you sense that's coming, even in the middle of a high pressure environment, as the Scrum Master, what I would implore you to do is try and cut it off at the pass. Have that conversation frequently with the team, with the stakeholders, with the sponsors, whoever it is that is pushing that pressure on, okay, about reducing the pressure, because you may not be able to keep sprinting flat out all the time, but slowing down, rediscovering that sustainable pace means that you'll be able to continue for longer and longer. Okay? It's great. It feels wonderful to go in and work really hard for a 2-week sprint and just lay on the ground, destroyed at the end of it. It does, because for those 2 weeks you feel amazing. You're the hero, you're in, you're saving everybody. Yes. Then somebody's got to pick up the pieces because you can't. Okay. We don't want that. Instead, working with the team to find out where that point is, slow them down to this sustainable pace and just say, okay, it doesn't feel as amazing. You're not the team that everybody goes, wow, aren't they amazing? Look at their ability to work overtime. You are the team, though, who turns up every week and does an amazing job. Any one week, somebody else may be better. You're there every week. You're consistently good. Okay? And in the long run, when we're counting the months and years, you are going to outperform everybody around you. And that's what we're really here to do. Very few of us work on problems that are quick to fix. They take months, they take years to build those products, to solve those problems, to work inside those domains. And therefore, we need to be thinking about it in that time frame. You're in high pressure now. Okay, how do we balance this? Maybe for a sprint or two, we can up the pace to beyond the sustainable point. But you're going to pay for it, because after that sprint or two, we're going to have to drop below the sustainable pace. So where is it, and how do we keep coming back to it? That's really the key here. We want to minimize stress. Pressure is okay. For some people, pressure is okay. For others, it's less okay. But we want to minimize stress, and we certainly want to head off burnout at the pass by keeping the conversation going, letting people know it's okay to get support, allowing the team to reform and rework itself based on the work at hand, based on themselves, their pressures, their response to pressure, should I say, their experiences, so that they can keep going week in, week out.